Thursday, the 4th day of November 2021. Hello there and welcome to News Tonight. First though, let's have a look at our top stories.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
In our top stories tonight, the First Lady Janet Museveni receives Queen's baton relay. Investors to set up $300 million vaccine manufacturing facility in Uganda. Elsewhere on the continent, IGAD concerned over heightened political situation in Ethiopia. And in sports, Uganda cranes impresses on Namutima trip in Kitgum.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
Hello there and welcome once again. We are coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. Now, President Yoweri Museveni has said that the people of Libya must take charge of their country from the foreigners who have mishandled it. The president was meeting with His Excellency Abdullah Al-Lafi, the Vice President of the Libyan Presidential Council, who is in Uganda on an official visit. Museveni said Libya was mishandled by foreign actors who were ideologically bankrupt, pushing for identity rather than the needs of the people. The president, however, said that despite fighting Gaddafi, the former Libyan president had a positive side which endeared him to African leaders, him inclusive. The president called on the Libyan people to avoid politics of identity and fight for the common good. He called upon the leaders of Libya to use the opportunity to win over the support of the Libyan people, first through putting emphasis on their needs, then granting them an opportunity to take charge of their country in decision making through meaningful democratic elections. The president cancelled that preconditioned democracy can never achieve the goal of uniting people, as it creates the same problems that previously existed. He accepted the Libyan government request for Uganda to reopen its embassy in Tripoli and pledged to support Libya in its efforts to be appointed on the Security Council. His Excellency Al-Lafi thanked President Museveni for sharing his experience and wisdom with him as he consulted on a few issues on Libya. His Excellency Abdullah Al-Lafi briefed President Museveni on the prevailing situation in Libya and said that holding of elections will be the main channel of resolving the conflict. He also observed that the Libyan investments in Uganda are protected and that they are enjoying a conducive investment climate. He said that Libya looks forward to having more friends after the elections. He said that they were eager to benefit from President Museveni's experience in Uganda and Africa in general. Now, the Queen's baton relay has arrived in Uganda from Kenya and will stay another 3 days. On its first day, the baton is a precursor to the 2022 Commonwealth Games and has visited State House, hosted by the First Lady, and also been presented to Parliament. Let's have a watch.
We've had an exciting 2.5 days of the baton in Kenya, and now we want to pass it over to Uganda, our good friends, just passing the message of partnerships and cooperation between countries of the Commonwealth.
With 266 days remaining to the 22nd Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, the Queen's baton relay has arrived in Uganda.
The arrival of the Queen's baton is what marks the beginning of the preparation for the Games.
On its first day here, the baton has been received at State House Nakasero by the First Lady Janet Museveni, who is also Minister for Education and Sports.
On behalf of the sports fraternity of Uganda, I welcome the Queen's baton relay to our country today. can all see the Queen's baton relay as a true testament of the sport's power to unite the world. I must therefore thank the organizers for the Queen's baton relay for your humility in service to build one world through the Commonwealth nations by your striving to connect us, and for now, bringing the Queen's baton to them.
The First Lady appreciated the role sport plays, especially through the Commonwealth Games, and is certain Uganda will perform and also gain several values at the Birmingham Games next year.
It's coming up on the 28th of July 2022 to bring together the 72 Commonwealth nations from across the globe, which is a symbolic but significant way to promote through sports the social, economic and political development interventions among the Commonwealth sister nations and beyond.
This Queen's Baton Relay is part of the 294-day tour of the 72 Commonwealth nations and territories.
The Games will feature world-class athletes, with many from Uganda, and a global broadcast of over 1 billion. The Games will be the most sustainable and inclusive ever, and also celebrate the youth of the Commonwealth.
It will cover more than 140,000 kilometers and climax on the opening day of the Games, with the Queen or her representative reading a message that's in the baton. Some of Uganda's finest athletes are part of the baton carriers and believe this will inspire them.
This kind of makes everything serious, that now it's time to start preparing for the Commonwealth Games that I'm really excited to go to. They'll be my first, and I just can't wait. This event is amazing and I look forward to many more in the future.
It gives us more hope to keep on working hard, because the competitions are now so, all the signs shows the competitions are soon.
The baton was also hosted at Parliament and presented to Deputy Speaker Anita Among. Uganda has had success at the Commonwealth Games, registering 16 gold and 16 silver medals, plus 21 bronze medals over the years. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
Now, government has maintained the stand to vaccinate about 4.8 million people before the country fully lifts COVID-19 restrictions by January 2022. Jane Ruth Acheng, the Minister for Health, has told Parliament that efforts to end fears of COVID-19 third wave in Uganda have been enhanced with more vaccination outreaches created. Minister Acheng also cautioned on the mixing of vaccines by a section of people.
Minister of Health Jane Ruth Acheng has told Parliament that the government initiative to prioritize COVID-19 vaccination remains a top agenda in the road to reopen the country. This follows a targeted approach of vaccinating about 4.8 million people with COVID-19 vaccines.
The hotspot regions are Teso, Lango, Kigezi and Kampala metropolitan area.
Unlike the past, where COVID-19 vaccination prerequisite was for persons with national identification, government has eased the process and any identification card can now be used to access vaccination.
Individuals that are eligible and without any form of identification will still be vaccinated using a next of kin means of identification.
By the end of December 2021, Minister of Health targets full utilization of all the 6.5 million doses of vaccines received in the country by vaccinating eligible persons of 18 years and above. The Minister of Health is to have vaccination sites at tertiary institutions to ensure students returning are vaccinated. Government has also clarified on the misconception that COVID-19 vaccines destabilize the human sexual syndrome by causing impotence, as raised by the Leader of Opposition, Matthias Mpuuga.
Honourable Minister and Doctor, please assure that the boy child is insured against impotence. Let us solve this vaccine.
You have to be positive and tell the people, tell the country that all is well, because if you don't, some people who believe in the tradition and whatnot may think, you see, even the Leader of Opposition spoke the other day and he wasn't sure of himself.
Issues like impotence
are not recorded as side effects which were observed. And I'm sure most of us, men in this house who are very active, we have received 2 doses. Personally, I have received 2 doses, and I don't find, I am actually...
2,483,233, representing 57% of the 4.8 targeted people, have received first dose, while 705,940, representing 14.7%, have fully been vaccinated. The Ministry of Health has expanded vaccination activity from static points to easily accessed outreaches closer to the communities. Minister Jen Ruth Acheng has warned on mixing vaccines by a section of people.
If you got AstraZeneca, you can only get Pfizer. That is the only research that has been concluded. Otherwise, you cannot mix vaccines. And we discourage mixing vaccines.
Daniel Mugoya and Gloria Gwita-Binji, UBC News.
No mixing of COVID-19 vaccines there. Now, $300 million will be injected in the project of developing vaccines against various diseases, including coronavirus in Uganda. The Executive Director, Serum Africa Medical Research Institute, SAMRI, Dr. Anand Iyer, told this to the media in Kampala after signing a memorandum of understanding with government at State House, Nakasero. We have more on this in this report.
Uganda is planning to set up a vaccine manufacturing plant to save money spent on importing vaccines and other medicines. To achieve that target, SAMRI has signed a memorandum of understanding with Government of Uganda to implement the vaccine project. The signing was between SAMRI and Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Monica Musenero, witnessed by the President of Uganda and other officials from the Ministry of Health. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni says Uganda is set to develop its vaccination plant.
The 3 points are guaranteed. Our own people are working on their own line of vaccine. How will they feed into the off-take? Because we shall be off-taking from this one. How do we bring them in at that stage in case they succeed?
The first phase of the $1 million project is expected to be complete at the end of 2022, and it also comprises of a research center for animal husbandry vaccines.
And I'm expecting that they're really going to facilitate our technology development in this area.
And we feel Uganda is immensely positioned for accepting this new technology and serving as a beacon for other countries in Africa. Our products are not meant just for Uganda alone, but for most of Africa.
The Executive Director, Serum Africa Medical Research Institute, Dr. Anand Iyer, the project will be implemented in 3 phases.
The first phase should be complete by the end of 2022 is what we are hoping for, okay? The cost of the entire vaccine facility end-to-end, that is where I'm making the raw materials and then making the finished product that goes into the bottle, is about $300 million. The cost for just setting up the bottling facility is about 100 to 125 million. We have the technology that we are going to bring in that actually calls for an innovative cold chain approach with novel technologies. So it's a full package that we are bringing.
The Chairman Board of Directors SAMRI, Professor Francis Omaswa, explains diseases which will be attended to after the development of the project.
Africans have been suffering from malaria, importing drugs. Suffering from HIV, importing drugs. Suffering from ABCD, even putting patients on the aeroplane to go for operations in India and Europe and so on. We want all this to happen here.
Nantongo Rebecca, Namamonde Deborah, UBC News.
The Ministry of Education and Sports is seeking additional funding, including 67 billion shillings, to upgrade Mandela National Stadium to international standards. Banadiga gives us more.
Yeah, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, and Federation of International Football Association FIFA disqualified Mandela National Stadium from hosting the 2022 World Cup qualifiers basing on the facility standard. The only option for Uganda is a privately owned St. Mary's Stadium Chitende, where the Cranes has hosted games, including the Group E 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifier games against Mali and Rwanda. The matter resurfaced as the Budget Committee scrutinized supplementary request for 171.61 billion by the Minister of Education and Sports.
These resources include the following: funding for renovation of Nambole Stadium at 67 billion. The country is faced with the challenge of Mandela National Stadium, which cannot host international matches for critical tournaments like World Cup qualifiers and African Cup of Nations.
The stadium is expected to be upgraded to international standard in 3 phases.
That comprises of phase 1, which is the gist of the request from Mandela National Stadium, which is 97.202 billion shillings, and the next phase, which is the medium term, totals up to 144 billion. Then phase 3 chair on page 14 requires 188 billion.
Although members of parliament seem to agree to the request, they are skeptical about the abuse of resources generated by Mandela National Stadium.
The abuse of the resources at that place is what has led us to reach that level. Because that place makes money. But where does the money go?
Minister of Education, when you ask finance, they say they are the ones, money is collected by Minister of Education. When you ask Minister of Education, they say money is collected by finance.
Engineer Moses Magogo, who sits on the same committee, also president of Uganda Football Association FUFA, highlighted that the country stands to lose out if Nambole Stadium is in such a state.
There are 15 countries in Africa that are not playing at home because their stadiums do not measure to standard, including our opponents, Mali, against whom we are playing to qualify to go to the World Cup. They are hosting their games in Morocco. And other countries have taken interest. I will tell you, we are becoming an island. As we speak today, Kenya has embarked on making 47 grounds in the 47 counties, including 4 at international level. Ethiopia is doing 10 at international level. Burundi has done 10. I'm talking about Burundi. Has done 10. I'm talking about Burundi. Tanzania is in a different world completely. There is a totally different league. Most importantly, even South Sudan has embarked on having a stadium which is almost complete. In Uganda, we don't only have a stadium which does not qualify, but we don't have anything, even for national use, for national competitions, the other grounds. We are the highest ranking country in terms of football in this region, despite those challenges.
Bernard Higa, UBC News.
Thanks, Bernard, for that report there. Now back to matters pertaining to the health sector. Our State Minister of Primary Healthcare, Margaret Muhanga, has confirmed a decrease in numbers of people contracting COVID-19. She was launching a mass vaccination campaign for residents of Machinde Division, organized by Nile Breweries, Ministry of Health and KCCA.
Tagged, play your part.
Ministry of Health recently set a vaccination target of 4.8 million Ugandans as a way that will pay for lifting the lockdown completely early next year. Ever since President Museveni announced the opening of the economy, Ugandans have reached out to be vaccinated. Various companies, including Nile Breweries, are creating awareness among the public on taking COVID-19 jabs. This one to residents of Machinde Division is "We shall toast to a COVID-19 free world." Residents stormed the Fig Tree restaurant in Kansanga for the AstraZeneca and Pfizer doses. Those who received their jabs, including those who got their last shots, share their experiences.
I've come to this place to get my second jab. Because of this country, you have to get a second dose to pass everywhere. decided to get a second one in order to continue for my education.
Edozi yange yokubiri. Edozi yasooka nafuna makasuja sujja katono. Naye kama lunaku lumu lwokka.
Chizitonga Lumyambe, the village's local council one chairman Mutesa Sirazon, urged citizens to disregard misleading information on vaccines.
Let's not listen to those ones who are just giving wrong information here and there. It is true that this vaccination, it is for our own good, for our economy and the country at large.
State Minister of Primary Health Care Margaret Muhanga said over 3,180,000 Ugandans had been vaccinated in the past 2 days, out of the targeted 4.8 million to be vaccinated, and reminded Ugandans that this is the only way the country can fully reopen.
Basis we were testing about 3,000 people, and we were getting 1,700 average during the peak. These days we barely get even 100. Today and yesterday, if we add, you may find we are already in 3.5 million people vaccinated.
Opening the whole economy the moment we reach 4.8. The only setback we may get is the older people. They are not vaccinating. You can even see here it's young people who are coming.
The Legal and Corporate Affairs Director, Nairobi Limited, the organizers of this campaign, Onapito Neke, says they are to vaccinate about 10,000 people in the 2-day campaign.
Proved that once you take vaccination to where people either live or work, the response is very good. So we're expecting out of this drive to add up to 10,000 people to the database of those who have been vaccinated. Because on average, that would mean only 500 people per vaccination.
I'm Ivan Juko, reporting for UBC News.
National Information Technology Authority, NITA-U, is spearheading a cybersecurity awareness campaign aimed at increasing the public awareness and vigilance about the daily cyber threats, dubbed Do Your Part, Be Cyber Smart. Arnold Mangeni, Director, Information Security at NITA-U, revealed that government has put in place a website which is www.besafeonline.ug, where citizens will find all related information on internet safety, as well as being aware of cyber crimes.
From money transactions, online studies, electronic services, all these require being on websites and using internet services. But the convenience of online services comes in with cyber attacks, which is a challenge for countries like Uganda. Arnold Mangeni, the Director, Information Security at National Information Technology Authority, NITA-U, says Ugandans will now access a website that has information that will protect them against cybercrime.
The objective of this campaign is to improve on the knowledge of the users of technology in as far as the risks that are associated with the use of technology is concerned. We hope that if we are safe online, then one, the level of crime is going to reduce.
Internet users therefore require awareness of the threats that exist and have their consequences at individual and institutional level. As government, we are therefore obliged to protect internet users. As intermediate intervention, government through the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance has a national cyber strategy for the country.
Uganda Police has the capacity to follow up on cyber crimes.
The technical side, I may say, can make maybe 40, but the 60% is made by the traditional investigations, how you make up a file and how you can make a good case. So, as per now, we have enough capacity to investigate cyber-related cases, and this is so because we even have some partnerships with NITA-U, for example.
Previously, police trained 250 individuals to manage cybercrime, although there's need for manpower to deal with the rising numbers of cybercrime.
Of course, we have some challenges, which is the fact that when you go up country and to report a cybercrime related case, they will have to refer you to CID headquarters.
Whereas the lockdown was put in place to control the spread of COVID-19, this required people to stay home. Access to internet was the only source of information and e-services. However, cyber criminals took advantage of this situation. With such initiatives from NITAU, this will help curb the rising numbers of cyber crimes. Reporting for ABC TV News, Helen Barbara, Gizamba.
It's coming to 28 minutes after 10 in the studios of UBC TV. We'll now be taking a very short break, but we'll return with much more. Do stay with us.
Grow together with one of Uganda's largest companies. Apply for MTN shares for as low as 100,000 Uganda shillings. And when you apply using MTN mobile money, you get 10 free extra shares for every 100 shares you apply for. Dial *165*65# or use the MyMTN app to apply now. The terms and conditions of the offer and other important information are set out in the prospectus. For assistance, visit any MTN service center or Stanbic Bank branch countrywide or a licensed broker.
Kagalino twalekedde ekyatulese tuzze tukalanga enfunda eziwererako ddala. Eno yego TV Super ey'abakaguje njagala wekkaanyi. Ewatali kwemamaaza olwo tuba tusimbudde ne Go TV Super Duper waawawa. Era nga bakutuusyako ekiga eky'abakabejja abasajja eŋŋwaŋŋuli kwogata ne busineema obujjudde omuhabati ku $5,000 mu 15,000 waawawa. Soka Blaza weefunye ekirungo kya Go TV Super ekijjudde obulungi ove mu baaje.
Transact using Airtel Money. Use Airtel Money to send money, buy airtime for self, do mobile banking, make merchant payments and international money transfers with a minimum of 1,000 shillings and get 5 minutes free Airtel to Airtel calls valid for 24 hours. 3 minutes offer is for any of these fast 5 transactions within the same calendar month. Terms and conditions apply. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Raising voices.
Like other fathers across Uganda, I'm standing up to say no to violence against children. I commit to give my children a violence-free childhood. As fathers, we can make Uganda safer for our children. I promise to speak out when I see violence.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Everyone is talking about MTN shares. I am Jenny Kafulua Shares, and I am here to show you how you can get them. First, you need a Securities Central Depository account, or SCD account in short, and you can open one right now using MTN Momo. It's free of charge. Just get your phone and your national ID, and let me show you how. Now, why do you need an SCD account? Well, because every time you get shares in any company, well, including MTN, your shares are going to be kept in this account. But this is not a bank account, and you don't need to go anywhere to open it. So is your phone and your national ID ready? Good. Let me show you how to open your SCD account. First, dial *165*65# or use my MTN app. Then select option 1 to submit SCD account application. Then enter your full national ID number or NIN. Next, select your preferred stockbroker and then choose option 1 to accept the terms and conditions. Lastly, enter your mobile money PIN and wait for confirmation, which you will receive on SMS. Oh, by the way, stockbrokers are the people authorized to help you buy or sell any listed company shares, so you need to choose one. That's it. Once you have your SCD account, you're ready to start applying for your MTN shares for as low as 100,000 shillings for 500 shares.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. People's Progressive Party, PPP, has asked a National Unity Platform to stop referring IPOD to an NRM project because of their own interests and differences. Now, this was during the IPOD visit to PPP's offices as a party that has met all requirements to join the IPOD.
You can win through elections, but also when elections are over, you need to talk. Come to a round table and discuss with your brothers and sisters so that we see which way forward as a nation should we go.
Is to look into the issues that NUB is, is claiming, so that if there are those that can be resolved, they should be resolved. So that now, that party is the one on defensive. It remains with no issues to put forward. But the moment they still have those strong accusations, we have so many hundreds of our supporters in prisons, and they are not produced to court.
Because if you are fighting with the rebel groups, and then you call them, even if they come and sit with their guns at their back, the fact that they accepted to come from their hideout to the table is good enough before you begin the issue of ceasefire and so forth. Now we are almost going to the transition, and we must think very deeply and very hard on how we shall reach there in the next transition. If you look back at our past government, there is no government in Uganda which has ever handed power to the next one peacefully. And we believe this IPOD can be a vehicle for us to hand over power from one government to the next.
The values of PPP seem to be squarely aligned to the aspirations of IPOD, because you say it's dialogue, non-confrontation, peace and reconciliation.
Let's go to Muwende now, where Muwende Grade 1 Magistrates Court has charged and remanded a David Rwabunyoro to Mityana Government Prison after charging him with 11 charges of murder, attempted murder, doing acts of grievous harm, among other charges. Rwabunyoro, however, pleaded not guilty to all the alleged offences, as we hear in this report.
The accused David Rwabunyoro appeared before Muwende Grade 1 Magistrate Kagwa Francis. He was charged with 11 counts of murder, attempted murder, aggravated robbery, among other offences. He pleaded not guilty to all the alleged offences. Prosecution alleges that David Rwabunyoro and others still at large on 28 October 2021 at Rwabujenyi village in Chiterede Parish, Manyogasaka Sub-County in Kasanda District, unlawfully did a grievous harm to Semwogerere Godfrey. It is also alleged that on the same date, Rwabunyoro stole over 1 million, a property of Kalema Joseph, and after the said act, he caused the harm to the victim. Prosecution led by Sarah Bivanji informed court that investigations are still ongoing in this matter, thus asking court for more time. Presiding Magistrate John Francis Kagwa adjourned the matter to 2nd December 2021 for mention of the case.
Sleeping, we hear some voices outside. Then Mr. Kalema Joseph, our manager, our boss, ordered us to see what is going on where outside. As soon as we opened the door, 4 men came in and started to beat. At the moment, I want the victim to bring back all my things, to pay for me.
Meanwhile, the hearing of the matter where the 8 suspects are accused in the attempted murder of General Edward Katumba Wamala, murder of his daughter Brenna Nantongo, and his driver Luna Kayonda has flopped, The accused's legal team failed to appear in court, prompting the presiding magistrate Ponciano Odori to adjourn the matter to 18th November 2021. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
Now, the Cathedral of Buganda, Charles Peter Mayiga, has emphasized that the kingdom is committed to achieve the target of ending HIV/AIDS by 2030. Mayiga said this at the launch of Kabaka Birthday Run for the year 2021 at a function held at Bulange, Mengo.
On 13th April every year, Buganda celebrates Kabaka Ronald Mwenda Mutebi's birthday. And other activities, among those community development work, commonly known as Bulungi Wansi, mass immunization against various diseases, and a run known as Kabaka Birthday Run. Due to COVID-19, this year's run could not take place to prevent the spread. Today, it has been launched by the Cathedral for November 28th on the theme Men Against AIDS to Save the Girl Child. At the launch, the Cathedral Charles Peter Mayiga advised people to test for HIV and know their status.
N'olwekyo tukuza amazaalibwa ga Kabaka, okukkaatiriza obuwangwa bwaffe n'ennono, okukkaatiriza embeera z'abantu, abantu abalamu, abasobola okutambula ne Kabaka waabwe ne bazza Buganda eno ku ntikko.
He also emphasizes the need to be vaccinated against COVID-19.
I also got vaccinated here in the gardens of Bulange to assure the public, after being reassured by the medical experts, that the vaccinations are safe.
Chairperson of the organizing committee, Professor Twaha Kawasi, pledged to ensure that all the 70,000 kits are sold.
Okuva n'essaawa ya leero nga Kamala byonna amaze okutongoza, buli ali wano agenda ne kiti ye, n'abeeka bonna bonna n'oba ng'obatwalidde.
Some of the sponsors of this run pledges to work with the kingdom to eliminate AIDS by 2030.
This year marks 8 years of continued commitment towards Buganda Kingdom, a partnership we are proud of because of the positive impact it creates in the communities where we operate.
You can even grab a bottle. On the other hand, people from Busiro have visited Bulange in a campaign of supporting the kingdom known as Luwalo Lwafe. Here, Katikiro asked them to defend the kingdom's image in their areas of residence.
Abaami ba Kabaka bonna mubalwanirire. Ne bwe muwulira nga boogera Katikkiro ebitajja, situka obagaanye tuviire mu maaso ggwe ataliimu nsa.
Over 60 million has been brought to support the kingdom's work. Story compiled by Sebira Andrew for UBC News.
Makerere University Business School has today launched a curriculum review exercise that's aimed at enhancing student learning, engagement, experience and outcomes according to the current situation. The one-day exercise taking place in Jinja is being chaired by Professor Waiswa Balunywa, the principal Makerere Business School.
The programs we offer. Remember, we are producing graduates who will go to the communities to look for jobs, to do businesses. So it also helps us to know the training needs, but also it helps the community to know what we are training the people that they are going to employ about. But also accountability, we are a public institution. We have to account to the public. They should know what we are doing. But we also have a professional responsibility of engaging these communities in our work processes. Yes.
The stakeholders and civil society leaders have encouraged the Electoral Commission to do due diligence so that Ugandans exercise their voting rights. This was during Busoga Region's election forum at Mansion Hotel in Jinja, organized by the First African Bicycle Company, Fabio.
With the various petitions we are seeing in the Busoga sub-region, there must be something done around how elections are organized. One is that there must be laws that bring to action or to accountability for those candidates that are outing malpractices, like corruption, like voter bribery, like all these things that we hear. So I would say, and as the rest of the regional stakeholders have suggested, that we need to regulate the issue of financing in politics. We need to regulate the issue of how the cases of malpractices are handled. We need to regulate on those caught red-handed in voter bribery. They should not go back and contest. We need to see an independent electoral commission. We need to see an electoral commission that is elected by the public.
We waste a lot of money in by-elections. Why by-elections? Anyone whom the law has found guilty of voter bribery should be barred from standing for at least 2 terms.
When we are trying to do normal things abnormally, it was a worst experience in the history of politics in this country because of the unprecedented.
Now, stakeholders have been urged to empower women in anti-genital female campaigns to minimize increasing cases. This has been disclosed during a workshop organized by the United Nations Children's Fund and the Global United Nations Population Fund joint program to end genital mutilation in Kapchorwa.
Female genital mutilation is violence against women and girls and currently forms part of the United Global Goal of achieving gender equality by 2030 through engaging the youth in the fight against genital mutilation. United Nations Children's Fund and Global United Nations Population Fund have a plan to end genital mutilation through demonstrations against female genital mutilation in form of drama.
Especially for those at risk and survivors. At risk are the people who have not yet been cut, but they are exposed to being cut. Survivors are those people who have already been cut and sustained the effects and injuries of FGM and are living by the consequences of that practice.
Government and development partners have been urged to increase funding that increases awareness in the fight against genital mutilation.
If Uganda as a government, in all local government administrative positions and political leaders speak about it boldly, I think the eradication can be much more faster. The target is 2030. It shouldn't get to that.
The formation of a female genital mutilation board to cater for rights of girls countrywide has also been seen as key, since many girls do not know where to report in case of a challenge.
I know of a woman who had a co-wife, and she pleaded and told the co-wife, can we go for it? You know, if you go for it, you will have pain, you will have this. But at the end, when the co-wife went for it, she said, we are now alike.
Girls propose a need to interpret the Female Genital Mutilation Act in different local languages for proper sensitization. The comprehensive female genital mutilation program will gather young people's views about their involvement in the fight against female genital mutilation.
But at least if we can go deep in the villages, we come up with those people, and then we also engage them in such organizations, in such meetings, so that we really know the danger, such that we can see how, on the way of how to handle those things.
An event involving young people to end female genital mutilation is underway in Mbali and is virtually connected to the main event underway in Dakar, Senegal, West Africa.
The National Library of Uganda is urging government for more funding to refurbish the dilapidated structures across the country. The Director, National Library of Uganda, Adonia Katungisa, was receiving computers and other equipment to support the digitization of the library services from Absa Bank Uganda Limited.
The Director, National Library of Uganda, Adonia Katungisa, attributes the knowledge gap to the traditional ways of keeping data. Katungisa was receiving computers and other equipment to support the digitization of the library services from Absa Bank Uganda Limited. He urged government for more funding to refurbish the center.
There is quite a lot of raw funding from all corners and poor infrastructure, ICT inclusive. The information and knowledge resources, such as the books that the MD talked about, the journals, e-resources that exist in some of these libraries are not up to date. And in some cases, not relevant to responding to the demand for new skills and knowledge to meet the emerging educational and socio-economic transformation of our people, of our society.
The Managing Director, Abusa Bank Uganda, Mumba Kalimfugwa, promised to continue supporting the National Library with more computers so that they can start updating and digitization of data.
We'll provide a platform for students who have been out of school for over a year to continue their learning journey by embracing the transformative power of technology. This intervention will further prepare learners for a world that is gradually shifting towards being digitally led by availing the tools necessary to support the online learning efforts of the youths to facilitate the continuation of their education journey.
The program is aimed at empowering the youths with appropriate knowledge and skills that can enable them to not only be employable but also create jobs, and by so doing make a meaningful contribution to the economy of Uganda.
The Vice-Chancellor Makerere University, Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, expressed the need to invest in knowledge economy for the better foundation of economic growth.
Because much as we are not abandoning the physical books, the trend is towards digitalizing and digitizing everything. Through digital platforms, you can reach billions of people in a very short time, where you will not be able to reach them using physical books.
The districts to benefit from this offer include Lira, Soroti, Mbari, Kampala, Kabale, Jinja, Hoima, Masindi, Fort Portal, and Imbarara. Abdul Nasili Lubwama, UBC News.
From Kampala, let's go to Hoima now, where police in Hoima is investigating circumstances under which a 70-year-old man died at one of the hotels in Hoima City. Police spokesperson Albertine Region ASP Julius Alan Hakiza identifies the deceased as Joshua Tibagwa, a businessman and landlord of many estates in Hoima City.
The police spokesperson, Albertine Region, ASP Julius Alan Akiza, says that Tibagwa booked a room number 105 at Crown Hotel and checked in with another person whose identity is yet to be established. The manager, Crown Hotel, Collins Ahewa, became suspicious when Tibagwa stayed in the room beyond the usual time and opted to check on the client through the window but could not get any response.
So we received a phone call last night by the manager of the hotel that one of their clients has died. One of their clients has died in a hotel, room 105. So we immediately, a team of detectives rushed to the scene. So they found, upon peeping through the window, they saw a person lying in the bed, half naked, and they gained the entrance through the door.
Ahewa then informed police on how Tibagwa has been a regular client who would book on phone and use their facilities.
He has been a regular customer at the Crown Hotel. That is according to the director of Crown Hotel.
The family of the deceased took the body to the city mortuary for post-mortem. ASP Akiza says they are going to use the CCTV cameras to establish the lady with whom Tibagwa entered the room with as investigations continue.
The time we went to the scene, the body was lying alone in the bedroom, so we could not arrest any of the hotel staff because the manager who reported we could not arrest him, but we have recorded their statements to get a clue on.
We'll take yet another short break and return with business.
Everyone is talking about MTN shares. I am Jenny Kafulua Shares, and I am here to show you how you can get them. First, you need a Securities Central Depository account, or SCD account in short, and you can open one right now using MTN Momo. It's free of charge. Just get your phone and your national ID, and let me show you how. Now, why do you need an SCD account? Well, because every time you get shares in any company, well, including MTN, your shares are going to be kept in this account. But this is not a bank account, and you don't need to go anywhere to open it. So is your phone and your national ID ready? Good. Let me show you how to open your SCD account. First, dial *165*65# or use my MTN app. Then select option 1 to submit SCD account application. Then enter your full national ID number or NIN. Next, select your preferred stockbroker and then choose option 1 to accept the terms and conditions. Lastly, enter your mobile money PIN and wait for confirmation, which you will receive on SMS. Oh, by the way, stockbrokers are the people authorized to help you buy or sell any listed company shares, so you need to choose one. That's it. Once you have your SCD account, you're ready to start applying for your MTN shares for as low as 100,000 shillings for 500 shares.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Kagalino twalekedde ekyatulese tuzze tukalanga enfunda eziwerako ddala eno yego TV Super ey'abakaguje njagala wekkaanyi ewatali kwemamaaza olwo tuba tusimbudde ne Go TV Super dupa waawawa era nga bakutuusyako ekigo eky'abakabejja abasajja eŋŋwaŋŋuli kw'ogatta ne busineema obujjudde omuhabati ku 5,015 waawawa soka bulaza weefunye ekirungo kya Go TV Super ekijjudde obulungi ove mu baaje.
Pay bills using Airtel Money. Make any bill payment within a month with a minimum of 5,000 Uganda shillings and get 10 minutes free Airtel to Airtel calls valid for 24 hours. Dial *185*4# or use the My Airtel app to pay for water, buy yaka, pay TV, and so much more. Terms and conditions apply. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Deposit money onto your Airtel Money account. Reactivate your Airtel Money account with a deposit of a minimum of 1,000 shillings and get 10 minutes free Airtel to Airtel calls valid for 24 hours. Offer is applicable for a one-time transaction. Terms and conditions apply. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Welcome back. Let's have a look now at some items of business news. Uganda tourism stakeholders are pointing out the immense economic opportunities for Uganda's public and private sector. Uganda Tourism Board acknowledges that Uganda can learn and trade more with the United Arab Emirates while promoting tourism, trade and trade. Wadulo Mark Arnold reports.
Has so far managed to attract signed investments of over $900 million at the 2020 Dubai Expo. With hope for more, UTB asserts that strategic investment by private and public sector is key in realizing sector recovery.
We met with Emirates Holidays, with the Vice President, the regional directors, and we discussed collaboration, how we can increase tourists coming into Uganda. And they were able to tell us what we need to do as a country. We need to have brand hotels. We need to have 5-star lodges in our national parks. So we didn't, it was really value for money, because tourism was our #1 foreign exchange earner. And we want to get back there. And the only way we can get back there is to invest.
Hotel owners have been encouraged to upgrade their standards to ensure global competitiveness, enabling trade linkages with the United Arab Emirates.
Many of the hotel owners actually did shopping, and before we left, we had to help them with shipping some of the goods that they had bought. And it was a very good opportunity also for us to be able to attend, meet with the service providers, meet with the hotel suppliers, and strike deals with them.
Uganda Tourism Board is currently mobilizing more funds to enable profitable participation for Uganda in the Expo's Tourism Week come December 2021.
And I actually believe that in the 6 months that we have, if we get the funds needed, we are going to do what we think we can do best. We are going to showcase Uganda. We are going to ask for more trade and business engagements. We are going to promote this country as much as we can.
Over 190 nations are participating in the Expo 2020 Dubai and is to run until 31st March 2022 under the theme Connecting Minds, Creating the Future. Wadulo Makanold, UBC News in Kampala.
The Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, under the Uganda Support to Municipal Infrastructure Development Program, has supplied 14 garbage trucks to some cities and municipalities to help in the management of solid waste. The Minister of State for Lands, Dr. Sam Mayanja, has handed over the trucks to authorities of the respective cities and municipalities here in Kampala.
Uganda is urbanizing at a rate of 5.2% per annum, and solid waste management is one of the biggest challenges facing urban authorities. Ministry of Lands and Urban Development, under the Uganda Support to Municipal Infrastructure Development Program, USMID, has supported some municipalities and cities with garbage trucks. The Minister of State for Lands, Dr. Sam Mayanja, handed over 14 trucks to the authorities of the respective cities and municipalities in Kampala.
The symbol that you have received, or receiving, so that you own. Yeah. This challenge shall remain until we in the urban development sector agree to certain workable solutions and shall enable us have clean environments for our people. The third National Development Plan, NDP3, commands us in Chapter 5 under Sustainable Urbanization and Housing to ensure that in 5 years' time, we improve efficiency of solid waste collection from 30% to 50%.
Leaders from the supported municipalities and cities commended the Ministry of Lands and Urban Development for providing one of the solutions to solid waste management.
Most of the last 2 years, I think every story on Mbala has been cabbage. We've been crippled with the challenges around carrying it from this where it is collected, where people dump, to the area where gazetted area where it's supposed to go. As a still, in fact, formerly as a municipality, there was only one car that we've been having, one truck actually. So the moment we annexed the other sub-counties, the place grew wider in the areas of coverage, but still with the same resource to manage the cabbage and so on. So while we've been putting in effort, it has been quite challenging.
Each of the trucks supplied has a maximum loading capacity of 16.2 tons of waste. Adiana Kute, UBC.
National Planning Authority has urged Wakiso district leadership to reframe the district budget according to the government's National Development Model 3. This is during the budget dialogue that was held at the district headquarters. Local leaders accuse Finance Ministry for discriminative allocation of funds, which has affected the district development, yet it contributes 40% of the country's GDP.
District local government leaders need to reframe its budget framework in relation to National Development Model 3. This was during a consultative meeting dialogue held at the district headquarters.
So as we are saying, this is NDP 3. That means there was NDP 1. The people here, we should be asking, what did we get in the National Development 1 as Wakiso? This is the question we should be putting before government. There was a National Development 2. We should be asking, we as Wakiso, what did we get in the National Development 2? Then here now, NDP 3. How are we positioned ourselves as people in Wakiso to benefit from National Development Plan?
The estimated 82 billion shillings budget for 2022-2023 will be for developing tourism, agro-industrialization by improving household income and employment.
We are showing the people how where have we been. So far we have a budget of 82 billion, which is currently running, but we are also preparing for the priorities which we are going to implement in 2022-2023. That's another financial year. Here we expect to work with the development partners, investors, private sector, and also government as ministry, department and agencies.
Haji Musa Kigongo, the guest, challenged the district leadership to put aside their political difference for the development of the district.
Simanyi oba supporting a movement oba nupu or whatever. As it's been quite cool. What I want to see is the development. Development is getting mumazo. Never to that time go mixinga. Wakabata mu bagalo ku mixinga until wa kibina gundi or wa kibina gundi. That's not the issue. Fenna tuli badna Uganda, twagaliza Uganda yafwe birungi.
Mukubabyasi, the LC2 chairperson Akiso, put the finance ministries on spotlight for discriminative allocation of funds, which have in turn affected the development of the district, yet it contributes over 40% of the country's GDP.
But when you go down to what the government of Uganda released to Akiso for COVID program, we never benefited. And that's the reason why I say that here we are with the central government. All the time they are segregating Wakiso district or Wakiso as an area, and with the Wakiso district is contributing a lot to the government of Uganda in terms of direct and indirect taxes.
Let's move further afield now, and we go to Ethiopia, where the Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, Dr. Wokne, is concerned over the heightened situation in the Federal Republic of Ethiopia. Recalling the IGAD statement of November 7, 2020, the Executive Secretary reiterates his call for the cessation of hostilities and for immediate ceasefire. He calls on the parties to show restraint, work on the escalating tensions, and resolve their differences through an inclusive national dialogue. Sports news now, and we begin with the Cranes, where Uganda's senior national football team, the Cranes, has beaten a Northern Select side in a Namutima friendly at the Boma grounds in Kitgum district. John Ban Sentamu reports.
Before every Uganda Cranes major engagement, the Federation of Uganda Football Associations devised a friendly game against a local team in what's called the Cranes Namutima. This has happened for a while now, with the team visiting all parts of the country, with the latest being Kitgum, where the Cranes has beaten the local side by 3-0. Goals by Ibrahim Orit, Rogers Mato and Shafiq Kajumu were what helped the Cranes to the victory in a game played at Kitgum's Boma ground. Uganda Cranes coach Michos Reidovic is impressed by the performance and believes with the addition of professionals the team will get results from upcoming fixtures. This nature of competition has not only enabled Ugandans watch their stars, but for this particular Namutima edition spurred COVID-19 vaccination in order to be a part of.
Don't want people to just come and join the crowd. So everybody who is right here is fully vaccinated, and this is a way of encouraging people to come in and and have, because if we had not done that, we'd have influx of very big number that we will not manage.
And therefore we are trying out new activities, new initiatives like these ones, so that we can at the same time have the game but also comply with SOPs.
The Cranes now prepare to face Kenya and Mali in Crunch World Cup qualifiers, which if won will progress the team to the final qualifier hurdle of 10 nations. Mali leads this group on 10 points, with Uganda second on 8 in a group that also has Rwanda.
Life Saving Association of Uganda has completed a month-long Lifesavers Clinic that covers Central region. John Burns Sentamo gives us more.
With the sights on full recovery of the country from the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, Life Saving Association of Uganda has trained swimming attendants on the basic subject of safety.
Target yaffe nga Life Saving Association Uganda ffe twakola ekigambo kye bagamba nti Uganda United to Stop Drowning. Eyo campaign twagitandika omwezi guwedde, naye we are expecting of training 200 lifeguards before this year ends.
This they are doing in anticipation of the imminent opening up of the country from a 2-year lockdown, which is likely to be celebrated with a lot of merrymaking. Life Saving Association Uganda has been to Mukono, Bwaise, Kireka, Munyonyo and now Freedom City along Entebbe Road with more than 50 pool attendants benefiting.
So we are reaching each and every district. What our lifeguards abasinga, they want to train, but they are not able to transport themselves from deep areas to Kampala where we used to train from.
Further programs for November will cover areas like Gulu, Arua, Jinja, Hoima, Masaka and the larger Wakiso district area. John Burns, Sentamu, reporting.
It is coming to 10 minutes after 11 in the studios of UBC TV. We've almost come to the end of this bulletin. But before we leave you, let's have a quick reminder of our top stories.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
First Lady Janet Museveni receives Queen's Baton Relay. Investors to set up a $300 million vaccine manufacturing facility in the country. Elsewhere in the world, IGAD concerned over heightened political situation in Ethiopia. And in sports, Uganda Cranes impresses on Namutima trip in Kitgum.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
Thank you so much for having kept us company. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, wishing you a blessed night.